and welcome to my studio. We're starting out with our Halloween videos, and those that know me know I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite holidays or time of the year. The fall leaves, the bright colors, the orange, the yellows, the reds. It's just a lot of fun. So we have done Sammie the skeleton, and he is a little wooden piece that I picked up at Michael's, and I believe he was only $1. And I did a whitewash on him, and that means that I took white paint and I added a little bit of water to him and just applied that right over him. You also could leave him the natural color if you wanted. And also, while I was sitting here getting ready to film, I thought, why not make him bright and colorful? Make him like purple with orange crayon on it as well. So don't get stuck in the box. Think outside the box of all the fun things you're going to do. Alright, let's get started with him. I'm going to show you how we did him. And we're going to turn him over here and be able to work on him. Now, after you've put the wash on, the next thing that I did is I took some black acrylic paint and we're going to do a little bit of black wash over the top. So I'm taking my black paint and we're going to add a little bit of water to it here. Not too much, just enough. Just barely. We're going to come in here, and what we're going to do is kind of give him the illusion that he's a little bit older. And I'm going to put this on, and I'm going to come back in and I'm going to blend it even a little bit more with some water here in a second, so it's not quite so stark. But this just takes a tad of paint, not much at all. So I'm going to rinse my brush out, and I'm going to walk that back out. You can do a section at a time. Don't do it as like I did, do them all at once. I would work on just a section at a time. So we're kind of getting a bony feel. So if you'd been dead for a little bit of time, these aren't fresh bones. Okay, so we've got him all done there. And I'm going to get rid of my paint and my water, get that out of the way. And we're going to go to our wax tools, and I'm going to just be using black crayon today. And I'm going to start with my number 2 tool, the small end, and I'm going to start first in the chest area, and then I'll work my way up. I'm also going to have my number 1 tool on back up here, warming up. And if you have never done the wax process and don't know how it works, there's a great video in the basics of the wax technique that goes through all of that. So we're going to start with his rib cage. And we're just following his own bones and how it looks here. Remember, when you're working on it at home, to move the pieces so that you're pulling it towards you. It's much easier. I've just been doing this a while longer, and I want you to be able to see it. Okay. And so I'm going to pull some across this top of his shoulders. And another thing is, sometimes this wood is very, very absorbent. And what you can also do, if it's too absorbent and your wax isn't pulling real well, put a spray varnish coat across, a real light coat of it on, and it will help to seal that so that your wax will slide a little bit better there. Alright, now I'm going to go to the middle, and I think I'm going to switch down to one tool size smaller. I'm going to go to my number 1 tool, the larger end, and we're going to do his spine. And I want to just follow the design of the wood and how I think that would look. And I'm just go back and forth. But wouldn't this be fun in another color instead of just black and white? And I'm just doing one direction one way, one stroke the other way. I think you could have stayed with the other tool. It wouldn't have been that bad, but that's all right. And it's just kind of taking your skeleton and start to figure out where he needs stuff. I just kept adding and adding till I kind of got him where I wanted him. And I'm going to do a descending dot right there. Now on these little bones, I'm going to switch back to my bigger tool. On these little bones here, like the arm bones, we're just going to follow the shape of the arm around. And we're going to start at the top, and then we're going to go from the top, bottom to the top. And then I came in and I did a dot in the middle and I did descending dots. And you can come back in and go over that dot again so that that dot's bigger in the middle. So we're going to do same here with this arm. And remember that's his hand down there, so we don't want to mess with it. And you're going to be using quite a bit of crayon today. Probably use a whole black crayon. I'm going to do the same thing, descending dot, tap that one again, and do it again. Alright, so there's his little arms, and I'm going to fill up my wax. Don't forget to fill it up. That really makes a difference when you're doing your strokes. They're going to start to get smaller if you're not putting wax in those. So, alright, I'm going to go to his legs. We're going to do the legs basically the same way. You want to pull those strokes as long as you can get them to kind of meet in the middle. Okay, we're going to do a dot. Do it in the middle again. And then we're going to put the bottom one on here. And start way down there. One again, dip, dot, dot. Okay, we're going to go over to this other leg here. Same process. Helps if you go in the right color. Remember, when you're putting on your strokes, the slower you go, the farther you can pull your strokes. So we want to make sure that we pull those nice and slow as we're pulling them down the wood. Now you can see that part was real absorbent there. If you drop a drop of black wax on it, leave it, let it cool completely off before you try to scrape it off. And then if you need to, you can put a little bit of white crayon back on, but you also can just make your black like it's part of the background so it doesn't look like you made a mistake. So I'm going to go down to his feet. Since we're down here at his feet, I'm going to switch back to that #1 tool, and I'm going to do kind of try to figure out how I did it here. Kind of did it this way, I guess. Brought him around the corner. And up here, I just brought him across. And then I did a descending dot here. So I'm going to remove this guy so you can kind of see that you can get away with it. Because remember, we put this black on, so he kind of looks like he's just part of that black. So it's not a big deal. And I'm just going to turn the corner with our stroke, put the top of it on there, and do a descending dot across the toes. And then we're also going to give him a little bit of an ankle. I don't think I did on the other side, but I'm going to do that there. Just give him an ankle there and an ankle there. So that one is good. Now let's finish up the arms on the other side. And I'm going to go back to my big tool here and bring that down across. I know you can't see through my arm, and it's fun to paint upside down and backwards. If you think it's hard for you, which it shouldn't be, this should be an easy process. And look how fast this whole project is going together if you honestly think about it, what we're getting done and the amount of time that we have. It is going really quick. So that's what I love about the Crayola technique, is you can cover a lot of ground. Do a descending dot. Alright, now let me kind of peek, see what I did on that other side. I really kind of did it really basic. I didn't overdo it. If you don't know what to do, start with something simple and go back and do more later if you can't quite figure it out. That's what I did when I designed stuff, is just start with the basics and then just look at it later and see if you need to add more. It's not a big deal. And then I did put descending dots, and dots are great because they can fill up a lot of room. Like up here, I think I need some dots there and some dots there. Let's see what we did on the other side on him. That's all we did. We left him kind of bare. And sometimes less is better when you're working on one of these pieces. And I am going to switch to the smaller tool when I get to his face. And I've kind of brought his chin up and around. And I think I'm going to kind of bring up and around here as well. On the other side, I just did some dots right in there. And at the top, we're going to do a descending dot and a descending dot there. Now I'm going to sneak down to my number 1 tool, and I'm going to get my smaller one and back up ready here. And what we're going to do is kind of do almost nostrils, because usually when you look at a skeleton, he's got that nose bone that kind of goes up right there. So we're going to give him that nose. And you know, another thing we have not done for this poor little guy yet is giving him a mouth. And you know, I might do more of a, let me think about that for just a second. I want to do something a little bit different here. I'm not going to do too much on his eyes because we're going to add some eyes in the back. And I think that tool was just a little bit too small, so I'm going to go back up. It doesn't pull as easy on the wood as it does the gourd. So we're going to pull him up there and pull this guy up there. And then I'm going to do descending dots that way and a descending dot that way. And that's all I'm going to do to his eyes. And I haven't decided if to do anything with his nose. I'm going to go to the number 1, or excuse me, the 0 tool here. And I'm going to see about almost giving him a kind of a stitched mouth look, I guess. Let's see what we can do here. Let's do this. And remember, interpret it your way. There is no right or wrong. It doesn't have to be like mine. And just kind of pull this together. So it's giving it more of a skeleton look. And I'm not going through the wax because sometimes it doesn't want to go through it. I'm just doing little strokes in between that wax. And yeah, I like that smile. Now we haven't done his fingers yet. We're going to go back down to his fingers and we're going to do them a little bit different. We're going to pull, and I'm trying to figure out which little tool to use here. I use my number 1, the small end. And if you've whitewashed it and you can see the example they have on their fingers, that's great. And what I did is I divide these into 2 sections. And I kind of dropped it and then dropped it again and come to a point, and I'm kind of moving it around so it's kind of gives it a bony look, not a straight look. And make sure you get that tip on there. That's kind of important. And I'm kind of doing that, so that's my first knuckle and that's my second knuckle, so that you have that. I'm going to drop a little bit more wax in here. Don't need much more. And then what I did from there is I pulled these strokes up so it looks like the other bones in the top of your hands. And I actually sat down and kind of felt my hands to feel what they felt like. And then I kind of did a little kind of wrist thing there. So let's go over to this other side. So we're setting these down. These are 2 strokes, kind of curvy, no right or wrong on these. So I have a bigger area, a smaller area, a bigger area where the joint is again. If you ever look at the monster hands, they're never straight. They're always real crooked. So we're going to do that. Yes, a little pinky over here. Make sure you get 5 of them on. There's enough room for 5. A lot of times when you're working in animation or stuff, 5 fingers are very hard to draw. So they usually have a thumb and 3 fingers. But this has enough room for 5. And it really has a nice shape for 5. So give it 5. Alright, now that one goes that direction. So this one needs to go this direction, right up the middle there. Okay, the only thing I'm looking at is the top of his head, and what I did with that is I did eyebrows on him to give him kind of a different look. So I'm going to use my number 2 tool again, small end, and we're going to put those on. And I'm just taking that stroke halfway up and pulling it halfway down there to kind of give him that. So let me pick up a couple things I've dropped here. I will finish him up. Alright, for his little bow tie, what I did is I cut this out of craft foam. Just cut a little tie shape out. Fold it over in half and you can cut it easier or make you a little pattern. And then I'm simply going to add some stitching on with a Sharpie or permanent marker. And what I'm doing is a line and a couple of cross hatches, a line and a couple cross hatches, and kind of gives it a sewn look. We use this stitching a lot in tool painting. So we're going to just take it around. And your tie can be any color, Halloween color you want it to be. Or I kind of played with a little bit of black ribbon for a bow tie, but this gives them so much more color that I really like the color. And we're going to add a little bit of wax on here as well. So the first thing we're going to do is using our bigger tool, we're going to bring our wax in and rub it around that center one to kind of make that one bigger. And then I'm going to jump down to that number 2 or number 1 tool here. Now when you're working with foam, don't press on it, just lightly pull it. And that way you get your tip nice and clean because it absorbs the wax up really fast. So we put 3 little things on that. That just dresses that little tie right on up. Guys' tails don't want to be, maybe I'm not being patient enough here. Okay, so we're going to take our little hot glue gun, and I put it on the low temp setting. And the one thing we're going to do first, excuse me, before you do that, we want to varnish it. So either varnish it with spray varnish, or also if you're going to handle it a little bit more and you want something year after year, use the triple thick brush on by Deco Art. and brush a few layers on that, and do that as well so that he's all nice and fresh next year when we get to play with him. So I'm going to glue this on. This is, like I said, the low setting on the hot temp gun. It doesn't have to be high setting because you're just nice and low, and put his little bow tie on him. And then we're going to play with some eyes. I want to give you some fun options. I thought that was kind of cute. That almost reminds me of the little guy on Jeff Dunham, the little skeleton guy. You've got his eyes bulging out. And I found a whole bunch of little eyeballs at the Dollar Tree like that. So you have that option. And then I also found an assorted bag of squiggly eyes. So, I mean, each time you change his eyes, his expression changes. So I think that's really, really cool. And what's really neat, you could do this one double-sided, and you can put this on both sides. Actually, you can put the big ones on both sides if you wanted to. But I came up with some eyes. I picked up a package of these at Michael's, and they had different kind of backgrounds. So I took these backgrounds like that, and I glued with the low temp setting. You don't want to do the high temp setting because then your eye will get stuck and it won't wiggle. And you glue that right in the middle of those, and then you glue those on underneath, so it gives you more color even than you've already got, because you don't have a lot of color with him unless you've painted him a wild and crazy color. So that is our friend Sammie the skeleton, and that was fun. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and check out the rest of my Halloween videos. We're going to have some great ones for you this year. So thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions about the products we used here today, please email me at art@miriamjoy.com for any of the products that we may have used. Please visit my website at miriamjoy.com. There's a YouTube link if you haven't found all the YouTube videos. We've got lots of them coming up for you. And there's also a link on my website for Facebook, and I try to post something new every day over there. So that is, you don't have to be a member, just jump over there, and that on Facebook, that's Miriam Joy Gore Creations. So thank you for joining me today. You have a blessed day.